children, welcome to AIMS India's online classes. So today from our science subject we are going to discuss about plants. So this is the part 1 topic of plants. So as everyone know, what are plants? Yes, they are the living organisms. No, they are the living organisms which we found around us. Wide variety of living things from very simple algae to very complex flowering plants exist in the plant kingdom. Yes or no? So plants are of so many variety. They are wide variety in the sense so many varieties of living things from very simple algae, that is so simple plants that some plants do not have stems, flowers, fruits, from that simple type of plants to very complex flowering plants, very complex in the sense, children, like having different parts and having connectivity. No, so these type of plants are called as complex plants, and here we are learning that. So we are having very simple plants which do not have flowers, fruits, seeds and all that, stems, and from that type to so many different type of parts and which are connecting from one part to another part. For example, the roots get connected to the stem. No, so if you see, the roots here are getting connected to the stem. Again, the stems are connected to the branches. The branches are connected to the leaves. Again, these are connected to the flowers. No, so like this. So complex is connecting to different parts. So we have got so many wide variety of plants from simple to very complex, and they all exist in the plant kingdom. All these exist in the plant kingdom. And plants convert useful solar energy into chemical energy of food in the process of photosynthesis. Yes, children, you might have known that plants make food for themselves. They make their own food. And what we call that process as? We call it as photosynthesis. No, food making process of plant is called as photosynthesis. And what we are telling here is plants convert useful solar energy. Yes. So how plants are converting the food, getting their food through photosynthesis? No, and that photosynthesis is made by using solar energy. Yes or no? So photosynthesis what? Like air, water and sunlight. And sunlight is nothing but solar energy here. So the plants, when they make this process, the photosynthesis process, and make their food, what happens? It is going to convert this into chemical energy of food. This solar energy is going to convert into chemical energy. Like what happens? This process is going to release some carbohydrates and oxygen and a gas called oxygen. Yes, so and carbohydrates are nothing but energy giving foods. So we have learned in the earlier classes also that when photosynthesis process is taken care, going on, then what happens? So sugar and oxygen are released. That is nothing but chemical energy. Okay, which we can take them as carbohydrates, like fruits, some seeds, pulses, and all these come under carbohydrate. No, so plants convert useful solar energy into chemical energy of food in the process of photosynthesis. So this is one big advantage what we get from plants. And now plants are seen everywhere, even in the desert, in the aquatic medium, in the hot, damp places, and in very cold places. So plants are seen everywhere. No, so we have got different type of landforms. Okay, on our planet Earth, we have got different type of landforms, like we say plains, deserts, hilly areas, no, coastal areas, and all this. So we can see plants in every such type of area. but they may be different from one area to the other area. So one type of land area gets some type of plants, where other type of land area gets other type of plants. So we'll be learning about that here. So even we can see them in deserts, yes, where there is no rainfall and water scarcity, and aquatic medium, that is water areas like ponds, lakes, rivers, seas, all this come under water areas, come under aquatic medium. Okay, hot damp places. Hot damp places is sea coastal areas, like where the soil is wet, and even there is humidity in the air, there is hotness in the air. That type of places are like sea coastal areas, where we call them as hot damp areas. Okay, and cold places like hilly regions, snowfall areas, all that. Okay, we get under cold places. So all these areas are covered again with plants. Okay, botany is the science which deals with the study about the plants. So botany, so what is it? It is the study about the plants. So science, like we learn about plants, animals, human body, and all chemical reactions and all that. So when particularly if you want to study about plants, then this particular subject comes under botany. Okay, we call this as botany. Okay, zoology, again it comes for animals. Okay children, so botany is the science which deals with the study about the plants. Clear? So what we have learned here is, like we have got very wide variety of living things that are plants. So which are very simple and also very complex. Some are very simple and some are very complex, which have different parts and are connected to each other. Okay, and plants, what do? They convert the solar energy into chemical energy of food. When do this happen? This happens in the process of photosynthesis, and plants are seen everywhere, like in deserts, water areas, hot and damp areas, and cold places. And what is the study of the plants known as? It is known as botany. Okay, now let us see the classification of plants, children. So plants are divided into so many types. So we'll just see. So how are they? And now paddy, wheat and maize are monocot plants, belong to grass family. Okay, paddy, you might have seen paddy plant, wheat and maize. So how are they? They look like grass. They look like grass, and that is why we call them as monocot plants. We call them as monocot plants, and they belong to grass family. Now the second one here, it is pea, gram and other pulses. Pea, gram and other pulses. Okay, like they are dicot plants. What do we call them as? They are dicot plants, and they belong to leguminous family. They belong to leguminous family. Okay, what is leguminous family? Like here in these plants, so you can see seeds in pods. Seeds in pods, okay, and you will also have flowers. So whereas in grass family here, you do not have any flowers there. But here in leguminous family type of plants, you can see flowers and you can see seeds in pods. Pods, children, what do you mean by pod again? It is a long green part of the plant. So inside which you can see the seeds. For example, if you see a pea plant, so where do you get, like we call it as batani? No, like where do you get that? So you can see those seeds inside a long green type of leaf. So when you open it, then you can collect the peas from that part. That is called as pod. Okay children, even gram, like dals and all that. Okay, so you will get all these covered, like which looks like a leaf, that we call it as a pod. Okay, these plants are called as dicot plants, and they belong to leguminous family. And now what are monocot plants? And monocot plants have one cotyledon, whereas dicot plants have two cotyledons in their seeds. Okay, monocot plants is what, children? Grass family plants. No, what do they have? They have one cotyledon. What is cotyledon? Which is a seed leaf within the embryo of a seed. In the sense, so you know what is an embryo, children? Embryo is a baby plant in the seed. Now we already learnt that a seed has got an embryo, that is, it has a baby plant. Okay, so cotyledon is nothing but that, okay, which is inside the seed. And these monocot plants, they have got one cotyledon. Okay, and whereas dicot plants have got two cotyledons in their seeds. Two cotyledons in their seeds. In the sense, these grass type of family, they have got one seed leaf, whereas the dicot plants have got two seed leaves inside their seeds. Okay, and now what is zymonospores? Zymonospores are group of plants bear with naked seeds. Okay, zymonospores are group of plants bear with naked seeds. Okay, for example, pinus, cycas, and etc. So what are they? They are flowerless plants, children. They are flowerless plants, like they do not have flowers. So they'll have some cone type of leaves and seeds. These type of plants are called as zymonosperms. Okay, and for these type of plants, pinus and cycas are the examples. These type of plants are found in hilly regions actually. And now angiosperm plants. Angiosperm plants are highly developed flowering plants. Example, mango and neem. So angiosperm plants are highly developed, in the sense which have strong stems, like we call them as trunk, and so many leaves and branches. So this type of plants are known as angiosperm plants. For example, like our mango tree and neem tree and all. Mushrooms are grown in dark places. The other variety of plants are of mushrooms. Okay, they are grown in dark places. Okay. It does not undergo photosynthesis, rather it feeds on dead and decayed organic matter. Okay, so mushrooms, so they are non-green plants. No, like green plants, they undergo photosynthesis process, whereas mushrooms are non-green plants, so they cannot go for photosynthesis process for their food. So then how they get their food? So they get their food by taking the dead and decayed organic matter, in the sense like other plants or other organic matter. So what are dead? Insects, like insects, small insects, dead insects or damaged, decayed, spoiled insects or plants, they are going to take them as their food. Okay, this is about mushrooms. Okay, children, these are the characteristics of plants. Like we have got monocot plants which belong to grass family. We have got dicot plants, okay, which belong to leguminous family, and we have got one cotyledon in monocot plants and two cotyledons in dicot plants. Okay, and zymonosperms are what? So they are plants which have got naked seeds. In the sense, we call them as naked seeds. For example, pinus and cycas. In the sense, they don't have flowers, so they have cones and seeds. So we call such type of plants as naked seeds plant. And angiosperm are like highly developed flowering plants, that is like our strong trees. And mushrooms, they are non-green plants and they grow in dark places and they do not go photosynthesis process, and they'll have their food by taking the dead and decayed organic matter. Clear, children? Now we'll see about the types of plants. So as we learned, we are having so many types of plants, and how are these types divided into? So types of plants are divided according to their habitat, that is habitat, on the basis of their habitat. And what is the habitat, children? So it is the natural home of a plant or an animal, we can call it. So where it lives, so where it lives, okay, according to its convenience, where it lives, according to that, the plants are divided into different types. Like here, terrestrial plants grow on the land, that is, for example, mango, pine, coconut. Okay, what are terrestrial plants, children? Terrestrial plants are which live on the land surface, which live on the land surface are called terrestrial plants. Where do they grow? They grow on land. Okay. For example, mango, pine, coconut. Clear? And the other one is aquatic plants. Aquatic plants. Like as we said, what are aquatic plants? Which grow in where? In water. Okay, they grow in water. So for example, lotus, vallisneria. Okay, again in terrestrial plants, aquatic plants, again we have again different type of plants. But basically we are just dividing them into the main types of plants. One is terrestrial plants, another one is aquatic plants. So which grow in water are called as aquatic plants, like lotus and vallisneria plants come under this category. And the other one is air plants, epiphytes. We call them as epiphytes. What are they, children? They are air plants. Why do we call them as air plants? Why? Because they live in air. They live in air, in the sense they live on trees. So they are not going to live on the soil or in the water. They are just living on trees, in the sense they are taking the air, the surrounding air, as their energy, and they are living on trees. Okay, so this type of plants are known as epiphytes. Those are also known as air plants. For example, mosses, orchids, and all that. Okay, now marshy plants. So what are marshy plants? Marshy plants has breathing roots to take air from atmosphere. So marshy, what is marshy area, children? So a area which has got a very soft and wet land. Okay, the sand is very soft and it is wet. So this type of area is called as marshy area, and the plants which grow on this land are known as marshy plants. And how do they grow? Marshy plants has breathing roots. These plants, they have breathing roots to take air from atmosphere. Okay, so the roots do not get air to breathe actually. So these roots, they do not get air to breathe. So that is why they grow outside the soil. In the sense they grow above, the roots are above the soil, not inside the soil. Normally if you see these terrestrial plants or aquatic plants, the roots are under themselves, inside the soil or inside the water. But here the marshy plants have got the roots above the soil and to take the air from the atmosphere. So they are located in this place that is above the soil. That is why we call them as breathing roots. For example, mangrove trees, that is marshy plants have got breathing roots. Why? Because they are located out of the soil. Clear, children? And water also, out of the soil and water. Clear? These are. So if you see here in the above picture, so you can see this air plant in the sense like it is not grown in the soil or in the water, it is just on some other tree. So this is an air plant which looks like, and here below, so you can see the beautiful light pink color flowers. What are they? Everybody can guess, I suppose. Yes, they are lotus flowers. Okay, so these are grown in water, that is aquatic plants. Clear, children? Okay, now, so what is about terrestrial plants? terrestrial plants. So as I said, again terrestrial plants are divided into so many types. So let us see the desert plants first. Desert plants in the sense which grow in the deserts. And how is the climate of the desert, children? It is very hot. They do not get rain, so water is very minimal there, in the sense very less amount of water is available there. Okay, and desert plant leaves reduced into spine, swollen swollen stem to store water, long root, etc. So these are the features of the desert plants, like the leaves are reduced into spine, in the sense they do not have leaves, their leaves are in the form of spine, in the sense thorns, like sharp ended thin thorns type of leaves they have got. Okay, and they have got a swollen stem to store water. Swollen stem, that stem is swollen, in the sense, so it is used to store water. So whatever water, whenever it gets, so it is going to store the water in its stem, and they have got long roots. So desert plants have got long roots. Okay, these are the features of terrestrial desert plants. So for example, cactus. So cactus. So the cactus is an example for a desert plant. So how are they, children? Desert plants, the leaves are reduced to spine. They have got a swollen stem. Why? To store water. And they have got long roots. And the next one is plants in hot and damp places. So how are they? So hot and damp areas, in the sense like coastal areas. Okay. So they remain evergreen and never shed leaves. How they are? They remain evergreen. So why we say evergreen, in the sense they do not shed their leaves. Their leaves are always there on the tree or the plant. So that is why we call them as evergreen plants. Okay, and for example, coconut and neem. Coconut tree, neem tree. Okay, it always remains green. No, so these type of plants, they grow in hot and damp places. Plants of plains. So how are they? So what are plants of plains, children? So which live on the plain surface areas, that is flat surface areas of the land. So such type of areas are called as plains. So how are they? They have branches and leaves, and they shed leaves in autumn. So what do they have? They have so many branches. They have so many branches and leaves, and when the season autumn comes, when does autumn comes? It comes after winter. Okay, after winter autumn comes, and in this season what happens? They shed their leaves. They shed their leaves. Again after autumn they start getting their new leaves. Okay, children. So for example, maple tree and oak tree are such plants which live on the plains, and they shed leaves in the autumn season. And now what about the hilly area plants? So they are tall plants with lots of branches of flowers. Example, pine, cycas. So here, how are they, children? Hilly area plants, they are tall. So they are tall, so much of tall, and with lot of branches of flowers. Okay, and they have got so much of branches, and even they have got lot of flowers. For example, pine and cycas. So if you see here, so this type of trees, tall trees in the picture, so these are hilly area plants. And when you come to this picture, so like how they are, the leaves are reduced into spine. They have a sharp thorn type of leaves. So that plants are called as desert plants. Clear, children? Now, so we'll see the aquatic plants. Aquatic plants. So how are aquatic plants, children? So they are of here two types here, like floating plants and submerged plants. So what is a floating plant? Floating plants is nothing but which floats on the surface of water, like pond, lake, and etc. So in such type of water bodies, these plants are going to float on the water, okay, on the surface of the water, okay. And if you see here in the picture, so you can see the roots here inside the water and the leaves which are above the water, and these leaves, what do? They float on the water, okay. Even they get flowers also, even flowers also, they float on the water. Such type of plants are called as floating plants. For example, water hyacinth and duckweed, okay children. And now what about submerged plants? Submerged in the sense they are merged, okay, where in the water. So these plants live in the water and they breathe through the body surface. How do they breathe? Through the body surface, okay. And they have no pores on the leaves. They do not have pores. Normally other type of plants, they have pores on the leaves in which they breathe, where they will take the help of the pores and breathe. But for here, so they don't have pores on the leaves of such type of plants, okay. They breathe to the body. For example, hydrilla, vallisneria and so on, okay children, clear? So what they are? Floating plants and submerged plants which come under aquatic plants. Now what about epiphytes? Epiphytes and mangroves. Okay, epiphytes are nothing but air plants which live in the air. Okay, so how are they featured? So the first thing is they are not permanently rooted in soil. So as we learned before that they are not rooted in the soil. No, they don't have roots in the soil. Then how are they? So they have roots, but they are going to grow from the other plants on the other trees. So that is why they are not rooted in the soil. Okay, they have got root system. So it is developed root system. They have a root system, but they are not in the soil. So for example, here you can see, so these are the roots. This is one air plant, okay. So these are the roots here, but they are not in the soil, okay. And stem not extensively developed, okay. Stem not extensively developed in the sense, so it is not having a strong stem like other plants have, okay. So maximum, so it has so many leaves, okay. And this reduction in leaf number, why it is having so many leaves is that to minimize the water loss. So what is water loss, children? When a plant get water, so it is not going to take all the water for its growth. So whatever water is needed for it, it takes that much, and the remaining water it is going to send out through water vapors, okay. So that is called as water loss, okay. And reduction in leaf number in the sense, so through these leaves the water loss is going to taken place, okay. Clear children? So this is about the air plants. Now it's about marshy plants now. So marshy plants, what is a marshy area? What area do we call it as? Yes, a soft and wet land is known as marshy land, and the plants which grow in such type of area are known as marshy plants. Okay, and how are these plants? These plants have breathing roots to take air from atmosphere. For example, mangroves. So children, if you see here in the picture, these are marshy plants and we name them as mangroves, these plants. Okay, how are they? If you see, so these are roots actually. This is not the stem. So you are able to see this in the picture. These are the roots. And how are they located? They are above the water, above the soil. No. So above the water. Why they are in this place is to breathe, to get air from atmosphere. As they live on the surface of the water, their roots have developed above the water area or the soil area to get air from atmosphere. Okay, so that is why we call them as breathing roots. These roots of these plants are called as breathing roots. Okay children, and these type of plants are grown in marshy areas. So these, for example, mangroves. So this is the picture of mangroves. Okay, clear now? So next is adaptation in plants. Adaptations in plants. How are plants adapted? In the sense like how they make themselves comfortable to the atmosphere, weather, place, and all this type of conditions. Like how, so how they, that's what, how they make themselves comfortable. Oh, desert plants. So we'll see about desert plants. How are they? So desert plants have leaves reduced to spines to prevent water loss through transpiration. So how are desert plants, children? So their plants have leaves. How are their leaves? Their leaves are reduced to spines. How are their leaves, children? They are like spines. If you see, like thorns. They do not have green, broad, flat leaves as our terrestrial plants have. No, no. So these desert plants, even desert plant is also one terrestrial plant, but what plants we are having on plains, hilly regions, so such type of leaves are not found in these type of plants. Their spines are reduced to prevent water loss through transpiration. So as I explained you before, like what is water loss? Sending away the excess water in the form of water vapor, and this is called as transpiration. Okay, this process is called as transpiration. Clear children? Yes. And they have long roots. So how are their roots? They have long roots. Okay, and to go up to underground water sources. Okay, how, why do they have long roots? Even to take the water from the underground water sources. So as the rainfall and the water sources are very less in desert areas, so these leaves have got a spine structure, and even the roots are so long so that they can take even the underground water sources. So that is how, so this plant is getting itself adapted to this region. What type of region it is? Desert region, hot region. No, as we also, we get adapted to our climatical conditions. If we have a hot climate like summer, what we do, we'll wear cotton clothes, no, to get air. And if it is a winter season, what we do, we'll wear sweaters with, are made with wool, no, to make ourselves warm. So that is like we are adapting to the climatical conditions. So plants growing in hilly area. So how are the children in hilly areas? Plants growing in hilly area have leaves reduced to needle shaped to allow snow to slip off the leaf surface. So what happens? Plants which are growing in hilly areas, how are their leaves? Their leaves are reduced to needle shape. Needle shape in the sense it's very sharp and thin. Okay, and why it is there? Because in hilly areas you will have much cold because of the snow. Okay, and when the snow is too much, then what does this type of leaves do? They are going to slip off the snow from their surface, in the sense, so they are going to send off. Slip off is nothing but they are going to send off the snow. It's going to send off the snow from the leaf surface. That is why the leaves are reduced to needle shape. When you have a sharp edge, no, then nothing is going to store there. So whatever you put there, it is going to fall down. Same like that, even the snow, whatever snow they get in the cold climatical conditions on the hilly areas, the snow is going to slip off from the leaf surface. Okay, so this is how the plants, they make themselves adapted to the climatical conditions of their places. Okay children, so this is what we have learnt about the plants today. So I am going to conclude here. Take care and stay well. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for receiving latest updates.